it's been great. The radio station's doing well, and yeah, this year, this time of year, I'm a
Yeah.
little less busy performing, but I'm doing more of the radio thing and online lessons and in-person lessons with people, and then just trying to gear up for more of the busier shows in the spring and summer with the festivals and all
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to our gig.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, man. You mean the Buffalo?
Yes,
Oh, you mean which one do you mean? The
April
Buffalo gig.
20, April 22nd. Yeah, it's the second annual Buffalo Roots and Blues Festival. It's got a great lineup. You're the headliner.
Yeah, it's my first headlining of an American festival.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Why is it taking
Don't
so long?
forget, like, I was lost in Canada for years, man, and I don't mean that as it's just the way it kind of went. It's like, you know how it is when it's your livelihood.
Yeah,
It's when it's what you do. And back in the day, most agents would take the easy route. And if they could book me in Canada, why would they spend the effort to,
right, right,
you
right,
know?
right.
So you often got a lot of lip service, but you never got any actual action. And until I got an American agent, until I started kind of re-entering the blues world, um, now things are changing around, and it's ironic at my age to almost have to go
Yeah.
out and be a newbie again. You
Yeah,
know?
but I love it. I mean, I'm seeing you out there with Buddy Guy, and the reality is that for those people that don't even know your history, I mean, you've just got decades of being really immersed into the deep blues scene. I mean, Albert Collins and let's go back to 1990 with the Sudden Stop record, which was my real initiation to Colin James, and it was just huge because I was just coming out of high school and get going into college, and I didn't really like American radio as much as I liked Canadian radio, like Hits FM
Mm.
and 107.1 and 107.7. They were playing all the cool stuff that I loved. It was like wilder, it was edgier. And your stuff, like when you took Otis Rush, um, Keep on Loving Me, Baby, and Percy Sledge's Sudden Stop, and just, I mean, with such respect, still took them up a notch or two. And with that voice that you got, which is like this electric fire when you want to do it, I loved it,
Oh man,
man.
thanks,
And
dude.
I always wondered why, it wasn't, translating over the border, but you just gave us a good explanation for that.
Yeah, that's about it. And until recently, I never was. Recently, I could take my Canadian business and give it to an American agent and say, okay, if you work on me in the States, you can have Canada because, I don't, for the first time in my life, I wasn't beholden to a
Yeah,
conglomerate.
yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah,
And it was the first freedom I ever had. So I'm really loving it, man. We just played the Troubadour and we just played Portland. And for me, it's like a new awakening. It's like when you get used to kind of doing what you can do with a certain crowd and I love my fans in Canada. I love them dearly and they've kept me alive. I owe them a lot. But when you can sever that and you can just kind of be who you want to be
yeah.
without any tropes or people thinking that they've got you pigeonholed, it's kind of a nice freedom, and it's tougher because you got to go into places that don't know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But
we
at the
played New
same
York.
time, but at the same
Yeah,
time, that can also bring out like a certain, fortitude out of you to prove yourself a little more. It's not like you have to. You're Colin James. People really should know who you are, but I think you know what I mean. If you're going into a crowd and these people are fresh, they don't know who you are. All of a sudden, you got to serve it up. You got to bring what you're known for.
absolutely. And you just have to work harder. We played Daryl's house last year and the City Winery in New York, and some places we had really nice crowds, and other places it was, it's bracing, and you have to go, okay, guys, let's play like we're playing anywhere else, and give it our
Yeah.
best. And it's
Well,
actually, there's a freedom in it, yeah, for sure.
well, speaking of somebody who was, really embodied the freedom of music and took things up to a number of levels for us was Stevie Ray Vaughan. And like I'd mentioned earlier, you have these relationships with all these classic blues artists, Bonnie Raitt, and rock and roll also with like Keith Richards, and you got to do some touring and playing with Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jeff Healey and all these great artists back in the day. And Stevie, apparently, you said that he had showed you some things, but he would only show you once or something like that on the tour bus.
The whole story, it's one of those this ridiculous stories where it just all happened just by chance. It was just the most hilarious series of events that put us together. I should have been in Vancouver. I shouldn't even have been where I was in Saskatchewan. I'd already lived in Vancouver. I had just got home for a few days, just like 5 days or something, and I got a call. And yeah, he was cool, man. Like right away, we kind of hit it off on Tin Pan Alley. We hit it off on that song because I had heard his version, but I was more familiar with Ray Agee's version.
The Johnny
The
Hartzman.
San
Yeah.
Francisco, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's the definitive version, Ray Agee's, for me.
Right.
Although
It's
Steve,
this
I mean Steve,
it's this riff,
yeah,
right?
yeah, oh yeah, and the sax is just playing behind, doing all this beautiful Tin Pan Alley type riffs, and it's so I was singing it backstage because I loved it, and I couldn't believe Stevie was there, and I was just pumped up 20-year-old or whatever I was, 98. Well, she was 84, and I was 20, and he went, "Oh my God, Ray Agee's version."
Yeah.
And what's really interesting about that Ray Agee record, as you'll notice, there's a song on the other side of the record called "Cold Shot." You ever notice that?
I don't have the vinyl version of it, but I'm familiar with some of the earlier versions, and Stevie copied it from the guy that he was playing with down in Austin or Dallas at the time, and the name escapes me. I play it on my radio show quite a bit, but it's so great, the musicology and going back, and you're one of those guys because it's like you'll go back, especially with the little big band stuff when you were going back to the Roy Brown and the Ike Turner stuff. I love that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what I'm
Yeah,
into too. So we're kind of kindred spirits in that regard.
right on, right on. Yeah, Hollywood Fats is more modern example of that kind of jump playing. I love that too, and Duke Robillard, all those guys that play the jump stuff
Duke,
so well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he's a good
But
friend too.
yeah, he's on Stony. Well, he was on my label. I'm on Stony Plain as well. Uh, but anyway, it's been really great, and I'm loving it. And the Buddy Guy dates were just one of my favorite things I've done in years, actually. And you know, I didn't know how he'd take to. I've known him forever. I've known him for 30 years, but I didn't know if I was going to play with him. If he'd get me up at the end of the night, I was, willing for him not to. I
Yeah,
just,
I'm the
you
same
know,
way. I'm the same way.
yeah,
In
yeah,
fact, the last guest that I had on my show was Joe Bonamassa. It was last week's show, and he played in
right.
Buffalo. He played in Buffalo just the other night on Tuesday, and we were sitting down talking before the show about the old days and 30 something years ago and all these venues that we used to play, and some of them that we had played together, and now they're gone. They're going away. I mean,
There's
I
a
would
tre-
have, yeah, yeah. The Trelf is one of them. In fact, you and I did a
the
show at the
Trell.
Trelf. Yeah, that's where you and I
Oh,
met
right,
initially.
right, right.
Yeah, my
Oh my
band opened
God.
up for you there. So it's kind of
Right.
it's nice to reminisce and have these relationships. And I'm with you there. It's like I don't care if I get up and play. I'm there to support you. I'm a Colin James fan. I love your music, and I just want you to be up there and do what you want to do. If you want to play, I love to play. It's not a competitive thing for me. I'd love to sit behind you and just nice and quiet and lay some beds and stuff like that. But I don't have to be you know in the
Right,
spotlight.
right. Ronnie Baker Brooks came out and saw me in Chicago at the City Winery recently, and it was really nice. I didn't see him until the very end of the night, and I saw his hat, and I went, Ronnie, and he went, no, 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 you finish your show, man. Cool guy. I love Ronnie.
Yep, yep, and that's the way to do it. I guess maybe it's just a part of growth and experience and maturity where you get to this point where you're like, okay, I realize that, I'm not feeling like I need to be seen, heard, in the same way that I did when I was trying to prove something to myself or to other people.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Like me, you were. I'd walk to Clarence Brown, and I'd be full of this youthful energy. I think one time he said to me, I was talking to him, but he says, "You've been drinking, and you're spitting on me." That's what he said, and I'm
This
like,
is great.
my exuberance of my 18 years old or whatever I was, man.
Yeah, I have a nice Clarence story because he was playing the Lafayette Tap Room one night, and I can't remember if I opened up or if I just happened to be there. And he was, he had that corncob pipe of his, and we all know what was in that. And
Yeah,
so
that's right. He wasn't a drink. He didn't drink.
no, so he was from that era when it was probably legal, and then it just, was still part of the subculture there that influenced the music. But anyway, he left the back area that we all used to hang out with. He goes up on stage and he's killing it up there, and I was able to just like see these artists like so up close. It's like within feet of them
Oh yeah.
at the tap room, and there he was, Clarence Gatemouth Brown, one of the first electric guitar, with a big band and virtuosos to do it. Like him and T-Bone Walker are like the first
Right.
couple of guys, and so there he
Yeah.
was, and there's this little pause between songs, and like you were saying with the youthful exuberance, I shout out, "Pressure Cooker." You know the song
Yeah.
"Pressure Cooker." It's
I
just,
don't think I do. I don't think I do.
oh man, I'll send it to you after this thing. It's a really fast, like a Duke Ellington kind of blues, and so before he goes,
It's like bebop.
that's the
Yeah.
one, that's the one. And so
Yeah.
he's up there and he stops and he looks at me. He goes, "Oh, he want to be punished." Because I
Oh
requested that
no.
song. And sure
Oh
enough, though,
man.
they tore into it, and it was just, I mean, it was such an era,
Oh nice.
and it's just so great that we're still doing it, that you're still doing it, and you're growing and you're getting bigger and better. I love the fact that you're getting more acceptance and success and popularity in the U.S. In fact, you got a Blues Music Award nomination. Why don't you tell us about that?
That Well, really exciting for me, like I say, this is new for me again. I mean, there was a time when I had an American career started when in the early '90s we had a couple of hits, but for me now, it's really been exciting. And it's the first time I've been nominated in the blues rock category this year. So I played on Bernard Ellison's record too, and he's in there as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bernard's an
yeah.
old friend. I toured with Luther and Bernard through Germany years ago. So
Wow.
Bernard and I have kept in touch over the years. But I talked to Jim Gaines because
Oh
I
yeah.
had to send Jim my tracks, and I did it right here in this room because I've got a studio in the back, but in the wintertime, sometimes I just move into here because I don't feel like going to the garage.
Right.
So I call this studio. This is my studio B.
Yeah. Are
But
you working with Jim
anyway,
on
I'm
something new?
really pumped. No, I'm not. We've had a meeting years ago about working together, but we haven't ever worked together. There was a time when he flew up to Vancouver to talk to me. I'm trying to think about which way to go on my next record, and I really got to get to it. So
Well,
at the
let me,
Memphis,
as a fan, let me make give a little input there. There was something. I mean, everything you do is great. I mean, and been playing your records, the Open Road record, and the was it what was the title of the one before that with the blue cover?
miles to go. Oh,
Mi-
Blue Highways.
Blue
Blue
Highways, and then Miles
Highways.
to Go. That where you had like how many miles to no, no, you wanted to hide the name of the song. You were going underground. What was the tune?
Oh, dig myself a hole.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, forgive me.
Yeah.
I get so many
Arthur
songs.
Arthur 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 Crudup.
Yeah, but it was so timely
That's big.
because,
Arthur, big boy.
the concept of nuclear fallout and shelter and stuff like that, it was great. But so the
Yeah.
input that I wanted to say was, I mean, there's something really, really special and magical to me as a fan about the Sudden Stop record. I mean, just I don't know what it was, the time, the era, the producer. I mean,
Well, I
you
tell
and
you what. I tell you what. Some of it was my first record. I recorded with Tom Dowd in Miami at
okay,
Criteria, and we had a real hard time together. You know, Tom was a fascinating dude, man. His history and his legacy, untouchable.
yeah.
But he did not want me to play any blues.
Oh, I mean, that's
Not at all. He took me to a record store, and I feel bad about saying this because, but he wasn't trying to be. He just what he thought I should be doing, but he
yeah.
wanted me to play like Eurythmics. He took me to a record store and played me a Eurythmics record and said, "This is what you should be doing."
Wow.
And I said, Tom, I've made it to here by being a blues player, and the fans that I have, who are my grassroots fans, are blues fans, and so I had to quit that project. We had sunk like a lot of money into him,
Wow.
and I had to leave with one song, and that's after $200,000 worth of
Oh
recording,
man.
and this is my first record ever. So I have to go to Los Angeles and do it all over again with Danny Korchmar and Bob Rock and all these other. So I had 6 producers on my first record. By the second record, I meet Joe Hardy for the first time. Joe Hardy, who worked with Billy Gibbons. Joe has sadly left us.
Oh, so
Joe
did
died.
he? So not to, I want you to keep flowing with this story, but he produced the Big Bad Blues or Perfectamundo, I think, for Billy Gibbons,
He
which was fantastic.
a whack of them. Billy loved Joe, and Joe moved all the way to Houston just to work with Billy. But Joe did Copperhead Road for Steve Earle, and Joe was a scientific mind. It didn't matter what DAW you were on, Pro Tools, Digital Performer, Logic. He'd go whatever and know every shortcut. I mean, the guy was just a Mensa's quality intelligence. And yeah, well, Joe just said to me, it's you and me on this record. Forget everybody else. We're going to make the record you want to make. And I really appreciated that. I had fallen in love with Jerry Williams' songwriting, the songwriter from Tulsa, Oklahoma, who wrote Pretending and Alibi and Real Man for Bonnie Raitt. And
Yeah.
so I'd been, yeah. And so it was just great for me. And we were in Memphis, of course, at the Ardent Studios.
Oh yeah.
Uh, those boys from North Mississippi All Stars came and visited us while we worked on that. They were 14 and 15 years
Wow.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're super nice guys. Yeah, I ran into them at
yeah,
the Lancaster Blues Festival when I played there last year. But just to get back to the to that sound
yeah.
of sudden stop, it kind of lends me to this place where my girlfriend and I go to a lot of concerts, and like we went to see Robert Cray in the Finger Lakes this past summer, and I've seen him a number of times, and it's Robert Cray. I mean, and you've worked with Robert Cray, I know that, but one of the things, like, I go to a concert like that, and I would expect to hear, like, Right Next Door or Strong Persuader
Phone,
or some of
phone
those
booth,
tunes, right?
right?
Or Phone Booth. And occasionally he will sprinkle some of those in there from that era. But I noticed, like, when I saw you at Art Park, and I think and even going back to the Trout, I don't remember hearing you sing some of those songs from that era too. And I understand this as an artist, I do, but as a fan, I would love to be able to go and catch those feelings at a live show and hear some of that stuff again. So that's going to be my input, and you can do what you want
You
with
know
it.
what? I've changed in different chapters of my life. Often in the States, like when I played the Troubadour the other night, I don't do 5 long years. I may do Just Came Back.
Yeah.
I probably won't do Voodoo Thing. But on my last Canadian tour, I started with Voodoo Thing.
Okay.
I came in through the back of the room. It's the thing I love to do, is sneak in. And anyway, and we opened up with Voodoo Thing, and I actually really enjoyed it. So for me, if I'm doing it on my terms, and I don't mean to say I don't respect an audience perspective, but if you are fighting if you're fighting yourself on the desire to play some of your older songs,
Okay.
sometimes if I just let them lie for a while, I come back with new ears, and I go,
Okay.
you know what? I can do it now. I don't feel pressured into it. So, I will do it once in a while. And lately, I've noticed, like, my band actually hassles me about it.
Well, I know.
I'll
I'm friends with Jesse.
Yeah, my band will go, well, oh, Jed, don't play your hits. And I'm like, guys, it's not that. It's like, it's hard to explain. But lately, I've been doing it more and more and more, and feeling better about it.
That's
I
good.
think it was I think this whole opening up my career a little bit in the States has really kind of helped that in me a little bit too. Like, I'm having gigs now where, like we talked about earlier, where I have to go improve myself, and people can't just go on autopilot with me. And it's good, and it allows me to kind of look at some of my older songs with new eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for clarifying that. I mean, I wasn't implying that there was any disrespect there, but just trying to giving you a heartfelt, some heartfelt thoughts on the subject. So, once again, we've got you coming to Buffalo River Works for the Buffalo Roots and Blues Festival. What a great lineup we've got there. Selwyn Birchwood's going to be on there. I don't know if you're familiar with Selwyn. There's a bunch of regional
I've
bands
been
there too.
watching him. I've been watching him from a distance, and I know a little bit about him. So I look forward to hearing him.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
look forward to
love
being in
how,
Buffalo. It's been a while.
yeah, and one of the great things about this venue is that it's not weather dependent, but it's big, and then it is a big space. So, I think the sound should be dialed in like it was last year. But it can get away from you in a room like that. You're not going to need a lot of reverb on your amp. Oh,
Yeah,
by the way,
yeah.
so
Oh shit.
let's get into tone talk for a second. What have you been playing lately as far as amps and guitars?
Well, I know I changed over the years. I had a couple Supro Coronados,
Yeah,
and I was running those in stereo and trying to put something in the middle that had a little more clean low end.
yeah,
And I was on the blues cruise the other day, and somebody had a Vibra King, and I used to own a Vibra King 12 years ago. I plugged it in, and my road manager went, "That's your new amp."
yeah, yeah.
So I found one. I found one secondhand online. Got it for a smoking price.
Love that.
So happy with myself. I got it for like 2005 Canadian with an extra extension cab. And
Oh,
this
that's a
guy,
great deal.
and the guy who owned it never left his home. So it's absolutely mint. Um, so that's gonna be my middle, and I'll probably run the two Supros on either side.
Wow,
I don't
that's
run
an
stereo.
outstanding.
I don't. Yeah, man, on the cruise ship, I was playing the back deck, and I had the Vibra King on 1.5. That was it, and it was like so loud, I couldn't believe it. So
Yeah, that's a 60-watt amp and three 10-inch speakers. There's something unique
yeah,
about that impedance. That's a little different voicing.
and for some reason, when I owned one before, I don't know why I sold it, and this time I just went, oh, I love it.
Well,
You know,
at the Tralf, I remember you had a Dumble with you.
don't even talk about the Dumble.
Oh,
I sold the Dumble for 5,000 Canadian to Metallica. To
oh,
Metallica. And I have nothing against Metallica, but I was broke at the time because I was like, I had just made Little Big Band 1.
Okay.
And I had to hire all room full of blues. So I was paying an American wage playing in Canada where our dollar was 65 to the 70 cents to the American dollar, right?
Oh yeah.
And I got a call from a producer who will relate, and he said, "Hey, I hear you have a Dumble. You want to sell it to Metallica?" And I was just kind of desperate for the dough, and I went, "Yeah."
Wow. Well,
And
sorry to
I
hear
know,
that.
no, it really. Do you know what really hurts me about it? It was that I had just put in Celestians. I had put in EVs, like massive EVs, and it was ear-splittingly loud. 300 watts, right? I think. So I just put greenbacks in it, and I never even tried them. I never even plugged them in. I just sold the whole thing, sight
Oh,
unseen.
yeah, I'm a big fan of the EVs. Also, I have a bunch of the 12s and the and 15s, and
Yeah.
they are loud and clean and clear, and they do have their own distinct voicing and flavor. I like I mean Celestians are great too, but I'm a fan of speakers that give you clean headroom. I don't really need
See,
speaker distortion.
that's why I always liked Marshall, and people always, look at Marshall heads like rock amps, but they're good for everything. I mean, people say that the guitar playing by Teeny Hodges on all the Al Green records is mostly a Marshall.
Oh, no
They
kidding.
kind of get, yeah, they kind of get put in this place. But I always found if you run it totally clean with the master volume against the preamp volume, it's a loud and tight, especially if you're using 410s. And so that's what I'm always missing with a lot of these tubey amps. I love a tubey amp, but sometimes it's like, God dang it, I want to, when I hit clank, I want to tight.
Yep,
So I don't mind a little bit of overdriven nature, but I like to make sure the bass has still got some cleanliness.
absolutely.
So that's what I'm always looking, trying to play that balance. And that's what's interesting about my Super Coronados. They are pretty tubey and pretty, but they do well. They do well in venues that I didn't think they would do as well in.
I'm gonna have to give those a try sometime. Those are a couple of amps that I haven't used. Anyway, so what I'd like to do,
Tommy, are you in Buffalo or Florida?
I'm in Buffalo.
Why did I think you were in Florida?
I'm in Buffalo. Yeah, no, I
I
mean
mean,
I
I know
do.
from everything you're saying, I knew you were from Buffalo. For some reason, I thought when we talked one time, were you in Florida the last
Yeah, it's
time?
yeah, it's possible.
Maybe not.
Maybe we were chatting online, or maybe when I saw you last at Art Park, maybe I mentioned that I was just doing some touring down there or something.
Sure,
So go
sure.
ahead, tell us a little bit about what our fans can expect, or the Colin fans can expect on April 22nd.
Well, I'm loving my band right now. We're having a really good time. We've been out with the kind of same crew. We got Steve Mariner out of Toronto playing harp and bass. So lately, Steve is on bass, but he has a stand where he plays
Okay,
harp on.
that's what I was
He
wondering.
can
Yeah.
lean over and play. So he's been doing that. He's got his own band, and he's with me on most gigs. We're opening up for Los Lobos down in Memphis at the Beale Street Festival. He can't make that one because of his other band, but he's usually with me, and he'll be with me on that gig. And I got my longtime drummer Jeff Hicks. I got Chris Cadell out of Toronto, who's my other guitar player, a wonderful player who plays with the band Big Wreck as well.
Yep.
And yeah, and just Jesse O'Brien's my keyboard player. I'm not sure he's making this gig, but he might.
We just
He's
we
not
just
on. We're
talked
coming up.
yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
Yeah, because I was asking him if he might be able to accompany me to a tour I've got coming up in South America in May, and he's not sure if he's going to be able to come over like you're saying. Be great to see
right.
him though. He's outstanding.
Oh, it was so nice for him to play with Buddy. Did you hear about
Oh,
Mar? Yeah, he got the gig at Buddy's keyboard player at the time couldn't make it over, so Jesse got the gig at Massey Hall, which
oh,
was nice.
what a great experience. What a blessing
Yeah,
for him.
yeah, I think he loved it. Yeah, yeah.
That's super. Well, I think this has been great, man. I mean, just to talk to you, it's obvious that you and I could go, on and on for hours and talk about our
Yeah.
mutual love and our mutual friends and stuff in the business. But I'm really looking forward to it on the 22nd, and we'll see what happens. So I just got my set time. I think it's 5:45 or something like that. Yeah, I got
Awesome.
I'm
Awesome.
5:45.
I can't wait, man. It's been way
Yeah.
too long since we played Buffalo. I'm looking forward to. We played Rochester, yes, as you know, a couple times now. We played with Buddy on the last gig
Oh,
too.
right. I just love this. It was kind of mind blowing to find out that this is your first American headlining festival. Congratulations, man. It's
Thank
way
you.
past due. It's way past due. So
It's
I'm just,
funny, man. It really is, but I'm very grateful.
yeah. Well, hopefully it leads to a lot more, because this is clearly your musical core and essence is blues. It's just obvious from your singing, your playing, and your vibe and your songs, no matter what it is, whether it's going to be like Tom Dowd turning you into a new version of the Eurythmics, or if it's you covering a Muddy Waters tune or doing something yourself. Colin James's essence is blues, and I hope you don't mind me saying that.
Not at all, Tommy. Thank you.
You're welcome.